Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Milas, an Abu Dhabi wargaming podcast. The Milas podcast is hosted by me, Simon, and alongside me, as ever, is my co-host, Ibrahim. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
The four cats of the Milas are, well, Nala is actually sitting on one of our painting desks, having been very cute earlier.
Nice.
And then, Cinder and Casper are just chilling over there, and Megatron is nowhere to be seen.
He is lost to us.
Lost to us, doing some nefarious scheming.
Probably.
This week, we'll be talking about what got played at the Milas, what's been happening on the hobby table, and later on, we'll also be asking whether you really need hundreds of minis on the table to have the most fun. So, we have our karak and our Arabic coffee. So, let's get into our usual segments. What got played at the Milas? Ibrahim, what were you playing?
I played my first game for the Necromunda campaign against Hail. Goliath. I was playing with my newly painted Cawdor, led by my Blanchest-wized priest, Redemptionist priest. And it was a fun game. I lost most of my models. They two got a concussion, and the third became very bitter about dying. So that was really fun.
He was using quite the Goliath list, though.
Yeah. How to lose your friends list. Shout out to Gunhammer for providing that list, because, man, it was a scary list. Could not do anything to it. The good thing, I was able to use my flamers, and they finally worked this time around. Yay.
Because Sahel is not the kind of guy to use an OP list. When I first played him, he shot one of my tactical squads, and I must have rolled from, say, 10 saves, I must have rolled 6 fails. And he said, no, I'm not having that. Reroll, because I'm not taking out one squad at the beginning. I want us to have fun.
Yeah, I was trying to push him to just destroy the campaign, because he's used to playing as the good guy, the nice guy. It was going to be scary to play against again. So good luck to whoever's using Sages next time. You also played your game.
Yeah, I had my first game with Roman. It was my Esches against his Delac. And that was also fun. The mission was Toll Bridge. So there was a bridge across a kind of river of sludge and acidic nonsense, which after turn 3 would start rotating randomly at 90 degrees. And if you were on it, you got flung off it. And so this is my first proper game of Necromunda for a long time. And it was really good fun. Other than, like, he had 2 infiltrators that just kind of ganked one of my Juves and then ganked my leader on, like, the first and second turn. I was like, oh. But the rest of it was some silly stories. Like, his sniper shot once, was out of ammo, took 3 turns to find his ammo again, and then immediately missed and ran out of ammo on the second shot on turn 4. And it's like, what is going on here?
Yeah, that's a fun thing with Necromunda. These moments are really memorable. I think for our game was Sahel turn 2. His leader charged into the middle of my 2 champions, and the leader completely cut them to pieces. And then we had this on the side little this Macarena like line. And they were like all fighting each other like from behind. So like, it was like 4 models, each facing the other like back, and then they were fighting the other model. It was so stupid. It was really funny.
And I had one bit where one of my gangers ran up to somebody they'd shot and took them out of action. So like a coup de grace, kicked them in the face while they were down, which made the 2 other gangers on the bridge run away.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I shot somebody else and he fell into the sludge and ended up getting 2 serious injuries. One was hobbled, so he's got like -1 move. And then the other was basically cool scars. So he's turned into the Joker.
Oh, nice. nice. Oh, yeah, because you have to roll for the injuries, and then if you roll a 1, all the injuries are like positive stuff. That's what happened with my champion. Now he has like a hateful against like Goliath. Like you in Munda Manager, you have to actually select the gang that you're opposing. Like not just Goliath in general. Like that's so here a specific gang is now hated by that one guy. And then somehow I rolled 53 twice on the injury table. That's why I have 2 guys with the concussion, because they both got the same injury. And they're like -1 intelligence and willpower now. So they're dumber.
Even dumber.
They're really cowed, like that they really need to be more dumb.
Amazing.
We also had some activity on the painting stations. We were working on our Planjitsu challenge.
You can see them on our Insta. I think you can see the your Cawdor Redemptionist, and you can see my Canoness Viridian, who I finished as well. Like, I'm very proud of her. She feels very, it's more like it's the Blanchitsu palette of the ochres and browns and reds on a model that came from one of his paintings.
Something you always do, which impresses me, is the hazard stripes, like on the pistol. It's like, mashallah, how did you do it? Like, it's literally perfect.
It's a steady hand. Because what I do is I do the yellow all over first and highlight it and get it like it's just a yellow gun or a power fist or a chainsaw or whatever. And then I just take Black Legion and very, very carefully draw the paintbrush along a line, and then just try and make stripes out of that line and keep the width the same and keep the direction the same. And sometimes it works really well, other times it doesn't quite. But as a technique, not even using tape or anything to cover it up, I just freehand it. And I only do it on places that I know I can freehand it.
Yeah, fair. I think maybe that's the tactic that I should more approach if I do stripes, because it's that part, like keeping it aligned. That's the hard, the tough technique to do. Like for me, whenever I try to freehand it, I'll only do it on like Cawdor or Orcs, because I know they'll make it really messy, and so I can justify doing that. But when I did it on my Iron Warriors, it was all masking tape. Like I did the same. But instead of like painting anything white, I would stipple it, so it would create texture over time. Then paint it yellow, and then do that with all masking tape. Like even the smallest bits were all masking tape.
And that gives it a very geometric style on big armor panels.
Yeah.
But also, I think when you're just doing it on individual weapons, you can kind of get away with not needing that weathering because it's so small.
Yeah.
So on a power fist or a chainsword, and suddenly you draw 3 or 4 lines and then it's done.
That was the part that really pulled my eye like into the model. Beside the gorgeous gradients you did on the base as well, and the model, it was an amazing work. Honestly, I really loved it.
I appreciate that. There's the wet blending on the base with a range of oranges and reds, just stabbing at it until it looked the right color, basically.
Yeah, that's blending.
That's blending. I mean, there's no special technique behind it. That's just blending.
That's just blending. Yeah.
But as well as that, for the Blanchitsu challenge, Zaheen is going to do us a Black Templar champion. Jagosh is also going to do us a Black Templar. He's going to specifically do that in the Zorn palette style. So that's like 4 colors.
Yep. Red, yellow, white, and black. We also sat a bit and to work on that, and it was really fun. I was painting with a black grail model, which is fun, but that's what he showed me. Like that's the palette he's going for, and it's Jagosh. He's gonna end up with a gorgeous model anyway.
Of course.
So yeah.
And also finally, there's Andrew, who last week we mentioned he was doing something chaosy. He confirmed that it's basically an Emperor's Children marine with like a barbed whip, which looks, from the undercoated one I've seen, looks very appropriate to kind of the Blanchitsu sketches.
Yep.
So I'd be really interested to see how he ends up painting that and how it looks, because it's started off cool little kit bash.
Yeah, looks awesome. Can't wait to see how it ends up.
But in terms of regular hobbying, you mentioned your Chaos Dwarves. How have they been coming along?
Amazing. They've been really fun to paint. I love the Blood Bowl scale. Oh, they're Chaos Dwarves for Blood Bowl, to specify. They're not just Chaos Dwarves. I really love them. The models, since I saw them, I've been in love with them. And painting them has been really fun, especially how exaggerated everything is. Like the face features, the beard, the pose. It's really cool. And I finished now 3 Chaos Dwarves, and I have 3 more to finish, and then just an ocean of hobgoblins on the bull centaurs. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, because they can come with lots of character and outlandish bits of highlighting on the noses and ears and stuff. Yeah.
Pink noses, the green faces. Got to do it that way. And you've been doing your Lamenters, I saw.
I have. First of all, I did my final Death Guard model, because from 2nd to 3rd edition Heresy, they increased the size of command squads from 4 to 5. So my perfect 1,000 points of 2nd needed an additional model to be a perfect 1,000 points in 3rd. So I've finally put him together and finally varnished him. And he stands out a little bit if you're paying attention, but on army scale, he's essentially the same. And then I moved on to my tactical squad for Lamenters for 2nd edition 40k, or maybe 3rd edition, or maybe just playing Liber Badab.
Or both.
Or all. Like, why not all? And had really good fun with those, because for 10 guys, complete them in a couple of days, let's say 3 sessions. Very simple, base color, wash, highlight, done. No fancy techniques, just plain and simple, like they would have been painted in the old days, but just with a bit more experience from my side. So I could kind of knock them out quite quickly. And I like doing them so much that I've picked up the Assault Terminators I had and are painting them as well to match. So nearly 1,000 points will be done by the time this podcast comes out, I think. And that's a good start for any 2nd or 3rd edition game.
Yeah, when I see your Lamenters, that keeps itching my brain. I need to do the Scorpions sometimes in the next 10 years at least. Because it has to happen at some point.
Sometime in the next 486 projects. Yes.
Inshallah. I don't know how. But like for that, Scorpions are not gonna, it's not that hard.
Just grey, white, yellow, red.
That's it.
Yeah.
Done. Yeah.
But then again, you've still got your Zinch 1,000 Suns to do.
Suns, yeah.
To shoot at the Lamenters specifically.
We'll see, or just blow themselves up and get sucked into the warp accidentally.
But the other hobbying that went along in the Milas, we had Tyler was doing his Spartan for his Sons of Horus for Heresy. Hassan doing his Cog Fort for Age of Sigmar.
He has.
Because he was waiting for that model to come out for so long.
Yeah.
He was very excited by the Cog Fort.
Yeah, he was excited about the whole range, I think, for Cities of Sigmar, the new models. Then we have Levi.
Yeah, Levi's been putting together his Bretonnians for Blood Bowl. He said it was a game he always wanted to get into, but never really had the chance. So since I've been in the Dubai Blood Bowl League, and I've been like, I can teach you guys Blood Bowl. So far, I've taught it to yourself and Tyler and Adam as well. We've all had intro games for those. And I think all 3 of you have really loved it.
Yep.
I think you said during our game it was the most sporty you'd ever been.
Yes. That's the most sporty I'll ever be. This is it. It's not going to get more sporty than Blood Bowl. That's it.
And that hobgoblin sprinting through to pick up the ball, drop it again, pick it up again, and then get to the touchdown.
Oh, it was so much fun. Like, I love just the mess that happens mid-game. Like, it feels like, I mean, I don't know how like American football works, but that looked like when they just pile up on each other. That's exactly how it felt. You see the table, you see all the models just crowded on top of each other.
There was a big fight going on. Let's put it that way.
Exactly, yeah. And then just a hobgoblin trying to run away with the with the ball between everyone. Took forever to get him, but it was really fun.
I think you can probably see how that Chaos Dwarf team will work when you add a Bull Centaur or 2, and suddenly you've got this big, strong, relatively fast guy grabbing the ball and going, nope, I'm going.
That's going to be fun as well to see him.
But that also leads us on to, I think with this many people who are into Blood Bowl and have a team and are up for it, we could have a little mini Milas Blood Bowl league, or like a double round robin even, rather than calling it a full league with only 4 or 5 teams. Plus anybody else who wants to come along and join, of course. And I think that just could be fun, just because it's a casual little game you can play on the side. We play it on the coffee table in the actual Milas area, and it's good fun.
Yeah, I'm starting to love those games more, because it allows for more time to sit down. So that's always something I'll go for.
You're not standing over a 6x4 table, leaning over to move 400 models. That, however, does bring us somewhat onto our main topic for the week, which is between stuff like Blood Bowl and all the Necromunda that we played recently, we've spent quite a lot of time with games that are using a relatively small number of models. But these kind of games can make just as much tension and character and spectacle as putting two enormous armies on the table, like you would do in, for example, Heresy. So are these smaller games more fun? Is it that having fewer miniatures is giving us more meaningful decisions to make and ultimately better stories that are more easily tellable? Or do we just like smashing two big armies together and seeing that extravagance and on the table? So, question for you, Ibrahim.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about your favorite games you've played, are those the biggest games or the smallest?
Tough. Both. Some games I've played are very memorable. Some skirmish games I've played that were very memorable. So it really depends. I'm starting to love smaller games more, at least the last few months. I mean, since 2026, like the beginning of this year, I've been trying to focus more on like smaller scale games. Like I don't think I worked in a single large army.
I think it's almost not mentioned enough between us how much that Solar Auxilia army broke you in terms of how quickly you did it and how much painting that was. That plus Heresy moving to a 3rd edition and a new set of rules to learn seems to have put you off large games and large amounts of minis.
Yeah.
Because you've only really played small skirmish games since then.
Yeah. Literally, since 3.0 came out, Heresy was my main game, my go-to. And since, the Solar Auxilia, I don't know why. Like that, it had left a really weird. It was, I think, a mixture of things. Being exhausted from painting one army, lots of changes to that army, having to revise everything. It was easier for me just to drop it. And sometimes, sadly, I do take the easy route out because it's just easier. Then I was introduced to Infinity. I always wanted to play Necromunda on a campaign scale. Recently, Blood Bowl has been really fun. I am looking forward to playing more of that. Halo Flashpoint, like all of these are small scale games.
And also thinking about 2nd edition 40k, part of the appeal of that is the low model count.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's sort of slightly large skirmish in terms of from Rogue Trader, it was really you're using 10, 20 models. But then 2nd edition was like, what if you used up to 30 or 40 maximum, maybe? And then slowly it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger from there. But kind of the essence of 2nd edition was not a lot of models at once.
And that, I think, reflects on how it feels like Necromunda, but with units.
Yeah.
That's how it felt like to me, at least when I played.
Is it the small games or the large games that are the most memorable for you?
Thinking about it now, I think the bigger games are more memorable. Mostly because they last longer and they are, as you said, spectacle. It's a lot of things happening. Like I remember our first game, my World Eaters against your Thousand Suns, and my tactical squad just barely achieving and then dying. I remember my game with Muhammad al-Hashmi, one of my favorite Custodians versus Death Guard. That's what's really memorable. I still remember how fun that was. And those I remember very clearly. As far as small scale, they just go by so fast. You do a lot of them compared to big games, which is like I remember most of my Infinity games, but some I did forget. Like I think I forgot that me and Sally played 2 games together. I don't remember the second one. I definitely remember the first one. And same with Hassan. Like we played one Infinity game, and I don't really remember much of it. I remember something because it's very cinematic. But overall, I think generally for me, I remember more of the bigger games.
See, I think the spectacle of a big game makes it memorable. The Istvan game we played 3-on-3, Loyalists and Traitors. We only had 1,000 points each, but the grandeur of 6 different forces on the table and the 6 of us playing was its own piece of memory. Like the specifics of the game, the details are in there, but it was the spectacle of we're all together. It's like playing a good apocalypse game. And it's like, this takes all weekend. There's 15,000 points aside. I don't remember a single dice roll, but it was great fun as that group activity. But I think for ratio of fun to gameplay, I would say small games are more fun for me. Like there was a period in 5th edition, Assault on Black Reach time, when most of my games were about 500 points, occasionally 1,000. And you'd take a tactical squad, a commander, a dreadnought, and that's kind of it, not a lot more. And everything mattered, but it also didn't matter. Every roll was crucial, but the game result didn't matter so much because they were just these tiny little skirmishes. And by balancing that importance of dice rolls versus lack of importance of the whole game, because it was so small and usually not even balanced, then actually those were more fun on my personal enjoyment level. And because you can just play one, have a good time, and that's done. There's not hours of setup and play. Like comparing that to a big game, a 3K Heresy game, for example. Yeah, that's great to see 2 big, thematic, fully painted armies laid out, ready to fight. That's great. But I think pound for pound, the smaller games come with more excitement and more fun.
Yeah, you raise a really good point on the fun scale, because thinking about it, I don't remember a single skirmish game that I played that I did not enjoy. Like I've enjoyed a lot. I enjoyed Fate a lot, Necromunda, Halo, and Blood Bowl now. Like, when I talk about them, I feel like an itch to play them, and that's why I want to have like painted armies for these games. But I remember how I didn't like 9th edition. I remember how 8th was very confusing. I remember how Heresy 1st edition was just all over the place. Like I could not really find where is what, and it was really hard to identify anything. And I only played one game of that. 2.0 I think was fun because we had the campaign and the league kept me engaged, and then I just burned myself out of that. But I still love the Heresy, both era and as a game system. But it's always the skirmish games. They really stick because they're so much fun, and you can play a game over a table and then not take long.
Does the smaller model count mean it's a simpler game?
Not necessarily, no. Necromunda and Infinity, for example, are very complex. Like their rules are, I would say, they're almost equivalent to Heresy in a sense, or like amount of depth. Especially Necromunda thing is that the rules are a bit scattered. So if you use online sources, it's easier. Infinity is unified, but it's not that much. It's just a lot of things to consider. Like there's 3,000 skills, yeah, but you're not gonna use them all. Like you don't. It's not.
And they're rock, paper, scissors as well, those
Yeah.
skills.
So over time, after 7 games, you're gonna start to make sense of things. Like you're gonna know how much this guy is gonna shoot. Like just because it's a purpose. And I think that can be applied to most war games. But the depth is there in skirmish games, but also your attachment to the models, especially in a campaign or a
100%.
league setting. That can affect how you feel about your models, how much you care about them.
That was going to be my next question, Chris. Do you care more about the individual miniatures in a skirmish game? The answer is absolutely.
Yeah.
Like for a Blood Bowl team, I will name all 11, 12, whatever it is, players. And maybe not all the linemen, but I will remember the names and numbers of each of those players. So I know who is being thrown to, who is catching, etc. Whereas in something like Heresy, I mean, yeah, I'm the kind of person to name all my squads, but it's only really the characters that get a story, if at all. Looking at our Heresy campaign at the minute that Baden's done for us, he's added in some mechanics to turn ordinary command level characters into special characters almost by you track their XP. They kill models, they capture objectives, they score line or vanguard, etc. And they get XP for that. and then you can use that to upgrade them and give them skills or stat boosts. And suddenly these characters become the focus of that force, and you kind of develop them, and you don't want them to die, but you need to get them into positions where they can score points and remove enemy models and things like that. And suddenly the game has taken on a character around them and what they do, which I think is really interesting to add to the scale of a heresy force. But when it comes to a small scale game, that is inherent. Like my gutter runner for my Skaven team in the Dubai League, he's played 2 games. He's scored 5 touchdowns, I think. He's the leading scorer in the league. He's got his own little legend that he's building.
Yeah.
And that's something that by necessity small games give you, that individual minis can take on a little character of their own, and you then start to play into that character as you play them.
Yep. I think it's also like to our previous point. Like what allows that character to have that much personality is the depth of the rules. So the more rules there are, the more things can happen and the more you can imagine it and cinematic it becomes. Because the way the rules are like dense, so it can like more things happen when the rules are dense, at least when they have character, not just having rules for the sake of rules. Your runner, you're always going to remember him because of that. And because of
somebody puts out a hit on him because that damn gutter runner needs to die.
But you always associate him with that specific model, right?
That's true, yeah.
You're always going to see that model that you painted, that you worked on, out of how many? 13 models? Like that guy is the one. Even if he dies, he's always going to be that guy.
That's true. Now, small games, generally they are cheaper because you have lower model count, smaller tables, etc. But once you add in the terrain, once you add in expansions, once you add in the extra bits that you do for a little army, extra effort on tokens, extra effort on hangers-on and staff or whatever it happens to be, are they still cheaper once you get into it on the end?
Definitely. The way bigger games operate, at least from my experience with GW, is that it always wants you to buy more models. That's the main goal. How can we make you buy more models? But skirmish games in general, like Blood Bowl, how many boxes do you need?
Realistically, 1 plus something.
Basically, that's it. Necromunda, 2 boxes, weapon upgrade set, hanger on if you want. Don't really need to have it. Like, that's it. Which is kind of the same with, I think, Blood Bowl. Infinity, same if you get the main set of your army, that's it. Don't really need more. You can have more, but you don't need it. Halo Flashpoint, honestly, is like probably the cheapest. It's more board gamey, honestly. I was reading the big battles thing. It's more like a war game, which we will try out in the next few days with Ahmed or Adam, and we'll see how that. But it's like the entry is insane because the boxes have usually twice the amount of models you need, with all the tokens, with all the dice, with everything, and the terrain, and the mat. It's just really a full game.
Well, that sounds like a much better deal.
I mean, that's what I like about Blood Bowl. It's probably the only skirmish game or like small scale game that does not require that much terrain.
Got your board, that's enough. And you dug out? Done.
Just get your the special dice, and that's it, I think. That's basically it.
But when you're really into Blood Bowl, you then get a model for your coach, which represents you personally. Cheerleaders, other team staff, assistant coaches, counters for your turn marker, reroll marker, score marker. You can really go extra if you want.
But see, it's optional.
Exactly, it's totally optional.
You don't need all of that to play. So that's why it's, I think, more appealing, because you don't have to invest in all of that to start playing. Skirmish games are much easier to get into, but you have the option to go all out in. We mentioned Blood Bowl, how you can buy all of those. Same with Necromunda, you can buy all the NPCs on the table. Same with Infinity, you can buy all the tokens and the high value targets that are also basically just NPCs. And it's really up to you. You don't have to You can just, if you want, you could technically just use an empty base. Like that's the same thing. You don't need to really see them. There's no reason to.
Infinity does like proxies, even
Yes.
if it's just an empty base.
It's really just. Yeah, because there's also silhouettes. So technically, you need at least something. You can use your hobgoblins. That's fine.
You could use just a cylinder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just a cylinder sitting there. But yeah, skirmish games in general. That's why I think they can be more appealing because entry is less.
Entry, but also time.
Yeah.
Generally, they're shorter. So, is being able to complete a game, let's say in 2 hours, more ideal than, say a Heresy or long 40k game that can go on for 4 or 5?
Well, depends on the person, I guess. But for me, it's a selling point. Like it's the fact that I can just sit and play a game for 2 hours, 3 hours, and then I'll play another game for 2 hours afterwards. I don't mind that as long as it's not the same game. Like I sitting there like playing the same thing for 7, 8 hours. Getting too old for that.
For the all day games that you have to stop for meals twice.
Yeah.
They need to be like special arrangement games. Like, we are going to do this. It is going to take all day. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, most of my Heresy games end up 5 or so hours at 3K, mostly because I don't play it often enough to remember everything, but also I like chatting, and that's my other issue.
I mean, that's part of the beauty of it, actually. Like, I think playing these games, it's both a social contract and a bonding experience. The person you're playing with, you will get closer to them. I mean, if you like them, you might not. Actually, it might be the negative, like the exact opposite effect if you don't like them. But we're both investing. That's the social contract where we're gonna sit here for 8 hours, play this game, but try not to ruin each other's day, basically, as well. So that's a big part of it.
Let's try and make it epic.
Yeah.
And still be friends.
Exactly.
Not like a certain Goliath list to lose friends with.
Was literally named how to lose your friends. And I like playing with you and Hale and honestly all the guys. It's always fun. It's always memorable. It's always just a wonderful time. And I think that's a really important aspect of, be it a skirmish game or a big game. It's really who are you playing with.
How important to you is the spectacle of a game, of the terrain, the armies laid out or skirmish gangs laid out, and just to kind of step back and go, wow, that looks cool? How important is that?
I mean, we have how many cabinets? Like
several,
like 4 boxes of just painted Necromunda terrain.
Yeah.
I spent most of 2025 painting.
The Zone Mortalis stuff.
Yeah.
There's some pre-painted stuff from wargame.eu.
Yep.
There's the L-shaped classic ruins in a few different versions.
There's a entire joint city for Infinity. I love terrain, and I think it's really important. It really gives life to the game. You might like not remember a specific layout, but during the game, it really immerses you. I think it's important, yeah. Like if your army is not painted, at least the table is painted. That's close enough. That's good enough.
See, I'm the opposite. Terrain can be unpainted, and it can be a couple of books and an upside down cup. But if the armies are painted, then suddenly there's life.
That's right.
If everything's painted and everything looks like a White Dwarf battle report, then that's amazing.
Yeah. That's always the end goal.
That is the end goal. So it looks like you could do it on SN battle reports or something similar. And just
exactly. Yeah.
That's how the table looks.
That's how it should look.
So that's the aspirational side of it.
Yeah. Like sometimes I'd literally just paint so that we can have that whole experience of a full painted army and a full painted table.
Yeah. One day I'll do that with that second ed Dr. Spork terrain and the Dawn of War looking terrain as well. Altogether, that will be a great table. That's another project.
It's always another project between us.
There's always more projects. Also, don't forget to start new projects or new armies.
Yes, indeed.
And do you get the same sense of achievement of completing a skirmish force as you do a full army?
Yes, but sometimes skirmish models feels like you go through them way too fast. Like
You want to spend more time painting them, or you want more models?
bit of both, like, which is weird because if you want more models, you want it to just paint like a large scale army thing.
Yeah,
But-
I suppose thinking about my Lamenters,
Hmm.
the tactical squad I churned out relatively quickly, and I was really happy with them, even though they were still a little bit janky and they're a bit basic, but ultimately they looked like what I wanted them to look like. And because I liked that so much, I've started painting up the Terminators and then Apothecary and the Captain next. And that will be 1,000 points. So that little sense of achievement of doing little bits for a little army is building its own momentum.
I think that's what GW tries to do with kill teams. Is they're a nice starter to large armies, and if you enjoy painting them, you can go with bigger 40k armies.
Why do you think it's in us to keep returning to massive battles? Because we love skirmish games, as we've just discussed at length, and the depth, because you put the focus so firmly on these few models that you can really bring them to life with lots of different rules, special rules, etc. So what is it about the mass battle, the big army, that keeps drawing you back to have that huge game and have extra and more? What is it about that?
I think the setting. The setting is what pulls more people in, especially in that scale, than anything else. Like, if you really love the Heresy, if you really love Old World, you really love the background of these games, the models. I think also that is a really important aspect. If you love the models, you're gonna keep painting them. That's why rule school is important. If you don't really enjoy the look of the models, but you like how they play, in that scale, you're not gonna go through it. It's tough. It's really tough. Unless you don't care and you just leave them gray. Then that's really up to you. And I guess that's an actual thing that's happening in some games now, where people will just jump from one grey army to the other and play them, then see that they change the meta or whatever, and then they just move to the next thing. Which is, that's an approach. But
Grey armies make me sad.
yeah, grey armies are very blue.
That's why, like, Hobby Apocalypse and Slay the Grey and Pile of Potential, all these things are really helpful, because that's the full hobby.
Mm.
I think if you don't engage with one of the core pillars of the hobby, then you're really missing out on a better experience. Even if you're not very good at it or you don't like it so much, it really informs everything else. The way you paint them is informed by the lore, which is also informed by the way you want to play, which is informed by the special characters. And it all goes round and round and round and builds everything up.
That's a really good point. The ecosystem around the hobby is what keeps each other it's a pillar. It's just pillars that really carry the whole hobby together, because exactly what you said. If you're excited about the gameplay because the models are cool, if you're excited about the models because they're cool, you're gonna play them.
So, Ibrahim, what attracts you to a game system? And is there a difference between what attracts you to a large game versus a small skirmish game?
So for me, it's mostly the models. Like, if a game has really nice models, nice background, a theme that I enjoy, I will most likely get it, try to paint it. But there's also like how playable, like who's there to play with. That's a big thing as well. So like if they kind of compete each other. So if there's a game that I love, I'm not gonna get, because sometimes I know that no one will be interested in. But even if a game I think someone might be interested in, I will still try and get into it, even if it's not guaranteed.
Like Drop Fleet, for example.
Like Drop Fleet, exactly, yeah. Drop Fleet, you have a Conquest box there that never opened. Flashpoint, for example, when I saw it, I knew Ahmed would love it. And I knew some guys are, being this nerdy, you have to get into Halo at some point, or you did at some point. And then I was like, okay, people would probably try it. I knew I wanted to. Hassan, Ahmed, Adam, And that was good enough, like, for us to get it and try it out, and we enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So it's like a bit of both.
Looking at Blood Bowl, for example, you are not a sporty guy at all.
No.
Like me, Adam, Levi, we all are into sports. And so Blood Bowl helps us scratch that itch and mix it with Warhammer, which is good fun. Whereas you, as you said, you're not sporty at all since you were a kid. And it's not that aspect of it that attracts you to it. It's models and players, I guess,
Yeah.
and availability.
Yeah, exactly. Because I saw you guys play, and I saw the models. So okay, that's good enough for me to try it. If I enjoy it, I'll get into it more. If I didn't, well, at least I tried it. I'm making a informed decision. So yeah, that's my general approach. How would you say is yours? Like, what gets you into a game?
I think the models are important because you want to be inspired by what you're looking at. But I think for me, it's a lot of background and lore around it. Like, yeah, the game has to be fun, but I've played lots of very, very simple games and they're still fun. It doesn't have to be Spiele de Jahres winner every year.
Yeah.
I got into Necromunda this time around because the Escher gang particularly gave me the same vibes as the original from the 90s, which I had and played. A few of the gangs have adapted over the years on the editions and have kind of gone beyond what I thought was, like, I had the mental picture of them. Whereas with the Escher, I saw them and went, that's basically the same as I remember. And that's why I went for that gang. And Necromunda lore has got so much more complicated and in-depth and expanded and enlarged since the original was written. And that is great fun, but ultimately it's also a fun game. And whenever a new rule is explained to me, usually it sounds exactly like it did in second edition 40k. And the number of things that, say, Roman explained to me are like, oh, this rule does this. And I'm like, yeah, that's second ed 40k. And he's like, really? Like, yeah, exactly the same mechanic. And it hasn't changed that much. But I think you're right also in that you need to have a community around to play it, or people who should probably be interested in playing it. Like, if I pick up an old world army, then who am I going to play? And the answer is there isn't anybody particularly to play at old world.
Yeah.
So why would I bother other than my own painting project, which I have several of those already, True. So it's the community that already does it or that is getting into it together, and it's the models, and then it's the background and lore, and then the rules comes last.
Yep.
Because as long as they're not actively bad, I mean, I've played worse, I'm sure. If you've played and got through second edition 40k, you can get through any rule set.
No, second I enjoyed a lot.
You enjoyed second edition a lot with 20 models.
Maybe that's why they translated it into Necromunda, because it works better as a smaller skirmish game, rather than, as you said, like 60 models on the table rolling for their intelligence or whatever, like individually or what. Like, that's gonna be, I imagine it's being a mess. But if you want to try a game system, I mean, like, it does not matter. Like, what game system, I always love to try different things. If anyone in the media will recommend a game, so yeah, okay, I'm gonna try that. I don't mind. Like, I'll get a starting force. I don't mind. I'll try it and then see if I like it or not. Which is problematic because I'm gonna keep on buying different game systems.
You're always going to start new armies.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it kind of started with Infinity, and I think while I love that game, there has been kind of a bit of a decrease in the player base.
Because Infinity, you originally bought a lot of models.
Yeah.
And then when somebody said, oh, I play Infinity, you said, oh, I've got some models for that.
Yeah.
So again, for you, it was models first, then community, then rules.
Yeah. Exactly that was actually. That's on point. Because, Infinity rules were fun to learn. Playing it was really fun. And the models are gorgeous. So, like, it fit everything. But hopefully we'll get it back on track. I think just people are busy now with other stuff.
And there's always so many different things to play. There's
Yep.
always somebody in the Milas who says, come play this other game I've
Yep.
got, or whether it's like me bringing Space Crusade, or it's the Battletech boys coming down,
Yep.
or, you know.
It's also, I think, overall, it's the GW ecosystem. Like, some people would not want to try to leave it. Like, yeah, they love Kill Team, but won't try Infinity, even though it's a much more better optimized game. Honestly, I'm almost 100% sure if anyone tried Kill Team or any of the skirmish games, they'll enjoy Infinity. The only thing that's negative about it to me is that there's no way to make it like Necromunda, like a narrative campaign that's Infinity. You technically could, but you'll have to like homebrew stuff and like make your own game system essentially.
Yeah, because Necromunda and Blood Bowl, very similar in terms of these are the things you get XP for.
Mhm.
We're balanced for the minis getting
Yeah.
more skills, stat up boosts, upgrades, injuries, being worth more, being worth less. And then there's also a system for balancing the two teams.
Mhm.
Like my Skaven, when they played Clay's Orcs, I got a free inducement of the Skaven star player I got to run. And that was to an attempt to balance out the teams that's inherent in the game, rather than something you'd have to homebrew and test.
Yep.
So that campaign appeal is very cool,
Yep.
especially with what Baden's done with our Heresy campaign to give that appeal of those, those characters running through it. But also, even in a sense of an escalation league, where you start with 500 points, and then after a month, you've got another 500 points, and then another 500 points, and you grow your army into bigger and bigger battles. Those are always fun.
Mhm.
But campaigns are fun anyway.
Yeah, campaigns are always fun. But that's my only thing about Infinity, that does not have that system. It does, but it doesn't really work. It's more of it's a PvP game. It's like you're playing it to play the missions and then just to win and have fun, of course. But it's also like balanced for that. While Necromunda, Blood Bowl are obviously made to be around a league, around a campaign.
Yeah, the development is the most fun part of it almost.
Exactly. It's a journey.
You can always grab a little pickup game of Blood Bowl and just like, I've got a team, you've got a team, let's go.
Yeah.
But it really comes into its own when you take them through a season of play.
Yeah. Progress.
Come out with a trophy or not, or whatever it happens to be. Though it's something I really want to do is to find a way to string second edition battles together. Random bits here and there. And the narrative then informs the next game. It informs the objectives, it informs the size, it informs the way in which it's played, the terrain it will inform as well. I'm really looking forward to get my creative teeth into that when we have little armies ready for that.
Yeah.
I'm really relishing building that framework around just random games, because that will keep it going till there's eventually a winner of the planet.
See, that shows that systems don't need to be built around that, around campaigns or skirmishes. Just need to be led by a person that has the hype, the passion to create that ecosystem around the campaign. So again, you could turn any game into a campaign. You don't need the rules to make it a campaign. You just need to have a game master, essentially.
Like with Baden with the Heresy.
Yeah.
He pushed the second edition campaign and a third edition campaign as well now. And by having that enthusiastic person that puts it together and says, you could play random games, but what if you played them in this little system that I've bodged together from 4 other different systems and mixed and matched, and it's not play tested, but screw it, we're going to have fun.
Yeah.
And suddenly every Heresy game that gets played feeds into the overall picture of Paramar 5 and who's in control of what. Like, I know now my Blood Angels are in control of the Void Station because we've played twice and had 2 victories there. So that means we're in control of the skies right now.
Yeah.
So it's already starting to build that
narrative.
Who has supremacy where and why. So will I just stick to playing some Mortalis games to keep hold of that station? Possibly. Will I try and play somewhere else? Maybe,
Hey,
just see what happens.
It's working.
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely Like I don't think it was directly, but you indirectly encouraged me to look into making like a narrative campaign for Infinity, like a cyberpunky campaign, which is probably gonna read into these RPG books, see something, and look into the different campaign systems, and then maybe pitch in some things to the guys, because I know some want to play Infinity, but just the hype kind of went down.
Ultimately, doing that is you need to provide the stage,
Mhm.
and then there is an ultimate goal later on down the line. You're not playing for it on game one, but by the time you've played 5 or 6 each, then that's when the ultimate goal is viable. So it's making the arena for the wars and why.
Yep.
And that determines the kind of terrain you build and the kind of game that happens.
Yeah.
All of those together starts to build from just random events. You can generate narratives from random events, and suddenly the next games follow that narrative and send it in new exciting ways.
Definitely sparked my creativity now.
See, now you're thinking.
Yeah.
I can see the wheel is turning, the hamster is going round and round and round.
There's a little hamster in my head between the 7 boxes of different armies he's trying to hold together. Yeah, that's some really good pointers there. Should turn this episode into how to start your own campaign, regardless of the system having a campaign system or not. That's a very long title.
That's not SEO friendly.
No, not at all.
But the thing is, you can do that with small games.
Yeah.
You can do it with large games.
True.
And everywhere in between. So that works for 500 point 40k. It works for 10,000 point 40k. And usually the game starts small and gets bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look at the 2nd edition Battle for Armageddon scenarios. It starts with 5 Marines versus 30 Goblins. And over 3 or 4 battles works its way up to 20 Marines versus 40 Gretchen, 30 Orcs and a Dreadnought. And a reserve Dreadnought. And that kind of escalation, finally deciding who wins based on the previous results. There's your campaign. Boom. And then you can move on to the next planet, move on to the next game, whatever you like.
Just keep on going, yeah. Exciting things with Amelis.
Yeah.
Indeed.
But I think that probably wraps it up for the Milas podcast this week. Do please keep tagging our Instagram for your Blanchitsu-inspired models. Our Instagram is, of course, ad.wargaming. You can catch us on the Milas podcast next time. We look forward to seeing you, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or other places that we put up our random thoughts and conversations. Thank you, Ibrahim, for your thoughts and time as ever.
Thank you so much, Simon, for listening to my blabbling. Babbling? Blabbling? Blah, blah, blah. Blah.
And editing said babble.
Editing, yeah, exactly. Good luck. Enjoy.
Oh, the things I do for free. So we'll see you all in our next episode.
And don't forget to start new campaigns, armies, both,
Games,
games,
systems, paint
Miniatures.
jobs, paint styles,
everything.
communities.
Just keep on hobbying.
Keep on hobbying.
Keep on hobbying.